What's going on, guys? We're back with another episode of the UnspoKEN podcast. Guys, welcome back, man. Today we have a very special guest who has a very special story that I want you guys to hear. And we're not gonna ramble too much on the intro. We're just gonna go ahead and bring her in.
Hello. How's
No,
it going?
how you
How are
feeling?
you? We keep talking at the same
I
time.
know, right?
I am actually just perfect, doing very well here in freezing Indiana, though, but I
Yeah,
can't complain.
yeah. It's always good to just be here, be up,
No,
be happy.
seriously.
For sure, yeah. So just get the people a little bit about you. I know you're a creator yourself. Just kind of
Yes.
give them a little input on who they're talking to.
Okay, so it is your favorite girl. That's my intro on YouTube.
Okay.
Like Ken said, I am a creator. First of all, let me start off by my name. It's JayShara. I'm a creator here on YouTube as well. I have two different channels, JayShara. First channel reaction, second channel is a little bit more personalized. I do a lot of travel vlogs, a lot of link ups and trips with my friends. But outside of that, I would like to say your normal original girl. I'm a student outside of university, also a student of life. I love learning. I love traveling. Love experiencing just new things. It's kind of um, my vice.
Yeah.
It's just new, fresh, hot experiences. That's really all I'm about. Everything new, everything to life that has meaning. I like to be very expressive. And yeah.
That's perfect.
That's a little bit about who I am.
You said something that was dope. Like you're a student of life. I don't think I've ever heard
Yes.
that. So how important it is for you, or even to just share with other people why it's important to be a student of life.
It's very important because for one, no one knows everything. It's very important to know that you don't know everything and you can learn something new every day. You can learn whether that's you searching or that's you meeting a new person or going through an experience that promotes you logically, mentally, even physically, I guess. So that's very important for me. I don't know honestly if that stems from insecurities because I don't know, like I just want to be, whenever I walk into a room, like I want to be knowledgeable on that topic or I don't want to feel inferior wherever I go. But on the upside of that, I just like to learn new things. I like hearing about people's stories and what they've been through, good or bad. So yeah, I think it's very
How do you think
important.
that shaped your perspective when you look at certain people or when you meet somebody new for the first time? Does that give you a different kind of perspective of person is going through this, but since I understand it as a whole, I'm able to kind of see it in a different light where somebody else would see it?
Yes, exactly. I think with having that background knowledge, not necessarily having that firsthand experience, but having that background knowledge and having these deep thought out conversations with people, I think I myself, for example, am a little bit more empathetic when it comes to certain situations, whereas someone else who's not as cultured or who's as experienced or even open minded when it comes to people they're not familiar with,
Mm.
they can become a little bit, or they are judgmental, um, very negative. They can put people down because they don't know exactly what they've been through. They've never experienced certain emotions that causes that particular person to act in that manner or speak a specific way or have maybe a pessimistic attitude. So that's very important as well. Because for one, you just can't judge because you just don't know. We all have unique experiences, I should say.
Yep.
So I think it's important to speak and talk and learn from many different people. I think it's amazing. It's so fun for me.
No, for sure. No, I agree. So, what do you feel like pushed you to be a creator? What made you want to wake up one day and be like, you know what, this is what I want to do?
Honestly, so I'm going to take it all the way back. I've
Okay.
always been a child who has wanted cameras and phones with
Mm,
camera as a child. Like I can remember on multiple occasions where my parents or my family or anyone would ask me, JayShara, what do you want for your birthday? What would you like for Christmas? And a camera has always come up, like something in the entertainment camera footage has always come up. So without knowing it back then, like this is what I wanted to do because it definitely was not something that I had in mind. And even back then, like even though I'm gonna go off in a tangent, even though like we're heavily in an influential world right now, I feel like our age group, like we were there in the middle of the shift. So back then, it wasn't something that I aspired to become a influencer or
mm,
YouTuber. So not gonna say back then that's what I wish for, but as I began to grow up or mature through high school, I would have a lot of friends. For example, a lot of friends who were from many different parts of the world. I have friends from Thailand. I have friends from Denmark. Friends from many different countries in Europe. Like just for example, and I will always be recording us. Instagram was new and fresh. I would like
mm.
always post, and this was like I feel like the best,
Yeah,
most authentic era because it was no filters. You might like
yeah,
do
yeah.
like when you upload on Instagram, you might have like the different, but it was nothing. Like if I take a picture, that's what you're getting,
It's
and
very
it's getting
authentic.
posted. Yeah, it's getting
Yeah,
posted
yeah.
in that second. So and like that was that.
Yeah.
But as time went on, now this timeline, I'm in college.
Hmm.
Snapchat might have come in high school around that time, but this one, Snapchat was buzzing. Okay, like
Yeah, everybody
when it
had
was,
one.
everybody had a
Yeah.
Snapchat. But I would like post in college. My major was language studies and international business. So I would be all around different types of people. I began traveling more because it was my duty or my requirement to study abroad. So I'm going around all these different places and I'm putting them on my Snapchat.
Mm.
And like I have all these people like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like this is so inspiring, or just a myriad of different comments, or like I had a lot of feedback. And then not until my senior year. So it's like dang near almost a decade after, I'm getting into camera work, I'm getting into social media and stuff like that. I'm like, I see people on social media, I see my peers like doing YouTube, and it crossed my mind. I probably would say in the midst of my college era,
Mm.
but I feel like maybe I didn't have the self esteem to put myself out there. Or maybe I felt like I was not good enough for it, or maybe I was doing so much, but I
Yeah.
still felt like I didn't have like it, or maybe I didn't have the knowledge or the tech
Just felt like there was something missing.
educational background. Something
Yeah.
was not clicking.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, maybe it just was not the time for it. But anywho, um, finally got into it in 2018. Posted my first video, which was 5 years ago almost. And then it's just been that from there, like just learning the continuous growth,
Mm.
finding out what works for me, what does not work for me, and then finally getting to a point, which is like now, which is crazy,
Yeah.
where I feel like I know what I'm doing, I can be myself, and realizing that also too, it's a marathon, so
Nice.
steady
Nice.
steady growth.
Yeah, so going back a little bit, I know you had mentioned that you were going through a period where you just felt like something was missing. Like you didn't know what it was, but it kind of prevented you from starting that journey a little bit. And
Hmm.
I hear it all the time. People ask me, how do you start? How do you start? Or they just kind of, sometimes it is like an insecurity type of thing, or maybe they're just
Hmm.
nervous. It could be a number of things. So I kind of want you to explain what guided you to get over that hump. Like whatever you felt like you were missing, how did you just disregard that and just kind of just go for it?
um Probably after, the only term that's coming to my mind is basically like hitting rock bottom when it comes to
Mm,
social media. Whether, I mean, it could be in terms of life as well, but because I am so interested, invested in being a influencer or
Mm,
posting, or even at the bare minimum just sharing my content, sharing what I love and sharing what I am super passionate about. That was my main thing. So it's like I'm having fun doing this. So that's what I'm going to put out there. Like I'm not going to be basically, I'm not going to look at everyone else's content, and I'm not going to compare and contrast and put myself down, because we all have something different to offer. And there's also millions of different people who are interested in different stuff, and just because my content doesn't isn't similar or identical to that person who's popping right now, like that's okay,
mm,
because people who are invested or passionate about the same things, they're naturally authentically going to gravitate towards me.
yeah,
So that's how I got over it, and realizing like it's not a competition for one, and two, like I actually love doing this. So that's kind of where I ground myself. Like end all be all, I'm gonna have fun. So at the
end
end of
all
the
be all,
day,
have fun.
like at the end of the
Yeah,
day, that's just what it's gonna be.
for sure.
Take it
So
or leave it.
what do you think has been like some of like the ups and downs of your social media journey?
um that I'm gonna piggyback off of what I just said.
Mm,
Getting over the insecurities that I have inside of my head, because it's really like I get a lot of great feedback, so it's really just me versus me up there.
yeah,
Getting over the need to be perfect, getting over the need to, especially when I first start, when I'm fresh in the game, getting over,
yeah,
like I said, the need to be perfect, to have all of the top tier resources, to have the traffic being gained on the daily basis. Like, first of all, no one really tells you how long it takes to gain any traffic. Like you can read all of the books, you can do
yeah,
all of the Google searches, you can get on the YouTube, how to grow your channel fast, topics to talk about. But listen, like naturally, I believe it's gonna 9 times out of 10, it's gonna take a long time to progress.
for sure.
So you have to be ready for that. Like no one really tells you that. So sometimes it can be very discouraging,
Mm,
when you spend so much, especially when you spend so much time and you think like a video is going to bang
mm,
and it doesn't. But that's fine, because that's where you go back and be like, I'm doing this for me. I'm not here for money. Like, of course, the money's great, but at the end of the day, you have to love what you do, because that is, in the end, is going is what's going to be the factor that keeps you going, basically.
right.
So yeah.
No, I tell people all the time, man, that I know like you said, it's easy to kind of get discouraged, especially looking at like bigger creators. And it's like, damn, I want that traffic. I want this, that, and the third. And a lot of things
Hmm.
people forget is that they had to start somewhere too. They didn't just wake up with
Yes.
1 million subscribers, or they didn't just wake up and be that. They had to start from the exact position that most
Mm-hmm.
people are scared to start from. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it takes time. Like these guys didn't just like Mr. Beast. He didn't just blow up overnight. Like he
Yeah.
built his channel over time to get to where he is now. And yeah, like I said, man, it's all part of the journey. And I tell people to focus more on the journey and less about the destination.
Exactly.
Right? You don't want to be focused on just the result. Like this, you just only want the money or the fame, or whatever. You can
Mm-hmm.
focus on that later. You want to focus on how you build towards it, so that when you do get there, it's long lasting. Sometimes you can get to a
Mm-hmm.
place so quickly, and the foundation's kind of weak.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then shit just
And
starts to
that,
crumble.
yeah. And that's
You
for
know?
many different areas
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah. Exactly. That can be said about so many different things.
For real.
You
For
always want to
real.
build a solid foundation, so whatever you get yourself
Exactly.
into, it lasts, it's strong. It's, you know what I'm saying,
Been
it may
there, done
bend, but
that.
it never break. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're like, yeah. So
I don't know why that's making me laugh, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's real. So
And you
another
also
time.
said
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
something about not being scared.
Mm.
I like to highlight that, because that is huge. Like
Yeah.
the fear factor can discourage you alone. So what I will say is, as I've said a million times before, feel the fear in what you're doing, but also do it anyway. That's one of my favorite quotes that I live by. Now, that may have gotten me into trouble sometimes because you need to be basically have good judgment about that
Yeah.
about like whatever you're doing. So if it's something like you're very passionate about or you've been egging and wanting to do for so long, feel that
Mhm.
fear. Know, and also if you're worried about like negative feedback, that's going to come in every
Yeah,
area
like
of your life.
yeah.
Like outside
Yeah.
of social media, like you have to be persistent and resilient enough or even strong enough to know that you're going to receive that. And also you can just ignore it. Like people are going to talk whether or not you're doing good or bad. So feel the fear, live in your purpose and do it anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and a good something that put into perspective for me is in terms of fear. I don't know if you know, but Mike Tyson, right? Really
Hmm.
tough guy, looks
Hmm.
very intimidating, all of these things. I remember him doing an interview, and I remember he was asked if he was ever scared when he goes into the ring. And mind you, this guy is it's like one of the most
Super
intimidating people on the
macho.
planet.
Like
Yeah, like you know what I mean? But he answered,
yeah.
he was like, "Hell yeah, I'm always scared when I get in there. Like I'm always
Hmm.
fearful because one, it's a dangerous sport, but he said
Yeah.
fear is what helps him keep himself focused. It keeps him safe. If he goes in there
Hmm.
super cocky or unhumble or any of these things, it can lead to him making dumb decisions. All right,
Exactly.
so fear is what helps him keeps him focused, and I think that's what people need to put into perspective. Like it's okay to be scared. Like we all are. Like shit, I'm
For
damn near scared
real.
every time I post a video because you
For
just never know.
real.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it helps me be more focused on it. Like, let me take my time with it. Let me really put the effort in. So when I do post
Yeah.
it, I'm happy with it.
That's
I
good.
never want to get cocky and feel like I could just put out anything, right? I always want to be fearful of my content because I'm always of the notion that I want my content to be a representation of me,
Yes.
right? So take
Yes.
that fear and I drive that into that. Like I never want to just put out anything where I feels
That's
like
big
it's not
too.
me. Yeah, and I feel like that's a big part that creators nowadays
That's
miss, that
huge.
they try to follow a trend, and
Mm.
then when people watch it, especially like people that know them, they're like, this isn't you. Like this isn't the person I know in real
Yeah.
life. And I see it all the time. I'm like, why the hell are
Hmm.
you posting this? Like this has nothing to do, you know? So it's like it's always good to be authentic because you want when it comes to a brand, you always want to build it in terms of who you are, right? That's what's going to get those partnerships and those brand deals and all of these different things.
Exactly.
But if you're just doing shit that isn't authentic to you, and a brand will eventually ask the questions and they'll start to see through it, and you start to lose out on long-term opportunities. Because I tell people
Exactly.
that YouTube isn't necessarily the end of the spectrum. It can actually be a beginning.
Exactly.
So if you start it off right and you do it correctly and you really build it properly, all of those things start to funnel into your Twitter, into your Instagram, and then brands start to also follow right behind it. So now, nobody wants to do YouTube at 40 years old, right?
Right. Right.
Everybody wants to build or create something that is long lasting. So by the time they turn 35 or 40 or whenever they decide to quit, there's something that they built there that's still going, whether
Hmm.
that's family related Instagram content or just anything. Like if you have kids or dogs, you put them in a position to start to create those brand opportunities for themselves, like all kind of
Hmm.
things that you just want to build. But again, it has to be authentic to who you are.
Right.
Like I see people all the time, they have, and it's unfortunate. I actually not a big fan of like family style content on YouTube,
Really.
only because, and there are some that I love. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like there are others that kind of take advantage of the
Mm.
fact of the kids are being there, like dumb pranks, like
Mm.
things
Yeah.
that are kind of damaging to a kid,
Okay, I see what you
type
mean
of
now.
things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a very slippery slope of doing things
Hmm.
that aren't authentic or even safe for
Hmm.
that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that led to YouTube a while ago and implementing, like when you upload a YouTube video, you now have to check like, is this for kids or
It's
is
just
it
for
not?
kids.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
I feel like that's where it kind of stemmed from. People just kind of doing dumb
Mm.
things revolved around kids.
For
So
views.
yeah, just and that's like the motto on YouTube, like do it for the views type shit, and it's on.
Honestly,
Yeah.
sorry.
Now go ahead. Go ahead.
So you said something again about being authentic. However, on the contrary, like I feel like I have personal experience, not something as harsh or terrible as, others, but posting for you and posting exactly what you would like to post and what you would like your brand or your channel or yourself in general, if you're just a regular Instagrammer, what do you want to display when someone comes onto your platform? What message do you want to send to them? So my personal experience is something that I had to learn. I used to post, like, well, I still post a lot of comedic um, material on my reaction channel. However, there were times where I would react to videos that I didn't necessarily agree with, or content I wasn't necessarily, I was attracted to, I guess.
Mm,
Um, and I did that for a while because, that's where the traffic came from. That's where the money was being made. And then I noticed myself on the decline when it came to my interest in YouTube, into my interest in being an overall creator. So, like I said, I did that for a while, and then I tried to switch it up. And then they're like, girl,
yeah.
what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what is this? Is not you. And then I noticed, because a lot of people don't know. I mean, no one knows unless I tell them. But on my reaction channel, it's 90% male. Like, no,
Mm,
96% male. Like, it's
mm,
crazy, because I came to a point where I was trying to satisfy them, when in reality I
mm,
didn't start this for y'all. Like, so when I got fed up and tired, I tried to switch quickly and then throw in
mm,
this type of video, and then get back to my travel vlogs, and then get
mm.
back to my get ready
Yeah.
with me's and trying to look cute.
And they was like, "Oh hell no."
And it was like, who is this? Like, and I'm like, it's me.
Yeah.
And then there were certain times where I would be dancing, just being myself, and I would
Right. Right.
literally, if I could pull it up quickly, I would show you. This isn't you. You need to act normal and be yourself. It will be comments literally saying be yourself, and I'm like, I am.
Yeah.
So that, like I said, that's very important, to just start naturally, start authentically. Don't
Yes.
necessarily follow trends. Like, it's cool to pop in a trend or two, do a little mukbang, do it for
Mm-hmm.
TikTok. Excuse me, do it for TikTok. However, don't try to take the easy route and just do it for clout and stuff like that, because your channel, like, firsthand experience, my
Yeah.
channel, I speak for myself, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's a excellent example, and that's actually pretty hilarious.
I'm
That's actually
like, and that's another reason I started my second channel. It's
yeah.
kind of like my first, because that's why I started YouTube, for that lifestyle travel content. Just overall fun type of vibe.
Mm,
Fun, positive vibe, because I like, it wasn't working on that other channel.
yeah. And that's also a good lesson that you learned now rather than
Mhm.
later. Like you
Mhm.
never want to be the creator that starts
Yes.
out as being something that they're not. And then let's say it does take off. You get 1, 2 million, 3 million subscribers, but then you wake up one day and be like, you know what, I really don't want to do this shit no more.
Yes,
One
and that
because
sucks.
it becomes so tiring because you only can be somebody else for so long.
Mhm.
You're not gonna be able to
Mhm.
continue being that unauthentic self for years to come, right? You're gonna want to wake up one day and be like, you know what, I want people to see the real me. But like you said,
Yeah.
people think this is the real you, who you've
Yeah.
always been portraying, right? So that's who they gravitate towards. So then when you
Mhm.
do try to switch it up, it's like, I don't know what the hell this is, but you need to be yourself. And then and that's when the mind starts spinning, because then you're looking in the mirror and it's like, well, shit, who am
Who
I?
am
Like,
I?
exactly.
No, literally, like, am I tweaking? Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm 27. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. This is what I
Right.
want to post.
Right. And then like I said, the years go on, and as people get older, you start to want to do older content. Like I tell people, if
Mhm.
you're gonna start on YouTube at 2021, cool, you have the time to figure it out. But as time goes on, you can't continue to act like that 2021-year-old anymore. Like people, like your audience. What I tell people, your audience grows with you. Sure, you may have
Yeah,
some that
true.
come along the way, but say that first million or that first 100,000 or the first thousand, whatever,
Mhm.
they're gonna be the ones that grow with you. So if you're 2021 and let's say they're 18, that 5 years go by, they're gonna be 23. You're gonna be 5 years older, so they want to see your content evolve, not necessarily
True.
change, but they want to see it
True.
evolve. You know what I mean? Kind of
Mhm.
get older as they go, and I think that's what a lot of people miss because they want to keep doing the same kind of content rather
They
than
get
trying to
stuck
figure
in
out
that.
exactly. And then when
Mm-hmm.
it does get stale, and I tell people, YouTube is a company that's always going to change. It's always going to evolve, right? So you can be
Mm-hmm.
this today, and 5 years from now, there's going to be somebody exactly like you that younger kids are going to gravitate towards. So you have to start to evolve and to try to attract those who kind of grew out of the content that you used to do, and want to watch you do something a little bit more fresh, a little bit more evolved, to see that, hey, we came a long way. Shit, like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad to see
actually
you here.
very cool.
So it's always good to have comments that people say like, hey, I've been watching you since I was in middle school, and
Yeah, that's
I'm
amazing,
happy to see you
actually.
doing this now. You know what I mean? So you always want to have
Mm-hmm.
content that just evolves over time, that kind of showcases, like that beginning, middle and end.
Yeah.
Sure, they started with you and you were doing this goofy content, but as times goes on, it's like, damn, I learned a lot from you, just from
Mm-hmm.
being yourself, showcasing different things, and just showing how you evolved as a human being. Because like
Yeah.
you said, people should always be a student of life, like you said, and
Mm-hmm.
part of life is growing, because life is always changing. Always different things happen to
Mm-hmm.
different people for different reasons.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's always good to just continue to always look for ways to evolve yourself as a human and place that into your
Mm-hmm.
content as well.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you. Do you think this is along the or relevant to wanting to be more mature on your
Mm.
platform? Do you felt like you were pressured into switching up your content?
Um, I wouldn't say I was pressured per se.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was always a matter of like when I took a step back and decided I wanted to do content individually, right? I had an
Mm-hmm.
option, or I had a choice to make at that particular time. I can continue doing what I had always done, the
Mm-hmm.
comedic route, the pranks or whatever, things like
Mm-hmm.
that, or I could take a more mature route and just do things that I do in my day to day life. I'm not waking up every day doing pranks. I'm not waking up every day doing challenges. You know what I mean? So I had to think long term what was gonna make me happy and what
Yeah.
was gonna be the content that I could enjoy for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And also it took me having conversations with a couple friends, like what kind of brands would I want to work with in the future, right?
Yeah.
If I'm doing challenges and pranks, there's only a limited amount of brands that I would want to work with. So I was like, let me focus my content more towards, just like I said, the things I do in my daily life,
Right.
with my dogs, or working with a wellness company, or with a vino, because I think it's important that everybody should wash their face every
Right.
day. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to lean into more daily things that was also relatable,
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, no, not, shit. I don't think nobody's ever gonna be Mr. Beast again. Like I don't even try to aspire to even look that
He's
way. I just
killing it.
so I try to aspire to just be myself on my
Yeah.
platform and just interact
Mm-hmm.
with the people that support it,
Mm-hmm.
continue to build. It's almost like, so I had an audience before, and I'm just kind of building on top of that. Sure, I may lose
Right.
some along the way, and that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
but we're
Mm-hmm.
just continuing to build the audience of people who enjoy watching the content that I create now.
And that's basically what you just said. It's mirroring life in
Yeah,
general. As you
exactly.
progress and move along, you lose people on the way, but
Yeah,
it's not it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's maybe the people that you lost or people that you gravitate away from, it's just a matter of growing apart or no longer relating to that content or message that that person is putting out.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and I think it was important for me. And to be honest, it wasn't like it was a matter of something I just figured out in a day, right? It took a lot of time.
Right.
It took a lot of thought. Of course, I was scared, very fearful
Yeah.
of this type of content that I wanted to do, because like I wasn't sure how it was going to be received,
Right.
right?
Can we
But
talk about that?
yeah, so it got to a
Your
point
fear,
where
like what was your point where you like, you know what, fuck it. Like, okay, like
yeah,
I'm doing
yeah.
this.
So I had multiple conversations with my friends, but I even had conversations with other creators that I just didn't know,
Mm.
because I'm the type of person where I only consume content that I really enjoy. I'm just not gonna go watch some
Right.
shit
Right.
that I don't like. So
Mm-hmm.
there was content creators I was like, damn, I really like this content. I like what he does. Like it's dope. So having those conversations and just them explaining to me their thought process behind it, like like I said, it's almost like a matter of just, it's just your daily life. You're just putting the camera up, right?
Right.
So the easy part was recording it. The hard part was
Mm-hmm.
posting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seriously.
It's always easy to record it, but then it's like when I'm sitting there editing, and I'm like, damn, I don't know if people gonna fuck with this. Like, I don't know how this is gonna be received. And then I just had to get to a point where I was like, you know what? I was letting my fears hold me back for something that can be greater,
Mm,
and I felt like that was unfair to myself
yeah,
because at the end of the day,
definitely.
all you can do is try. You know, whatever happens after it, you can at least say you tried and you were authentic and you were happy with what you posted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, regardless of, like you said, haters gonna always be there. There's
Haters gonna hate.
can't control that. So I just had to get to a point where I didn't want my fears to hold me back from something that I really wanted to do. So I just
Mm,
kind of had to break down that barrier and just say, you know what? I'm
that's
gonna put
good.
this out there. And of course, there were times where if I recorded a video, I would send it to my friends first, like, hey, what do y'all think about this?
Mm-hmm.
Or send it to my mom, like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, think this is dope or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
they would always give me positive, but also honest, very honest feedback about it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what drove me to be like, you know what? This is dope. If they say it's dope and they're giving
Right.
me the feedback, then let's go for it. So
Especially those who actually matter to you, that you actually
exactly.
know, who you care about their feedback and what they think about you. It's nice that you have that support system as well.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Nobody's ever asked me a question, so that's actually
I
really
was
funny.
about to ask you another one. I'm sorry.
Go for it. Go for it.
So I think this is important too for you to talk about because of your platform. When a lot of people ask you, you know, if they're thinking about starting a YouTube journey or thinking about being an influencer, um, they might have these same fears. So I wanted to ask you further, outside of haters or negative feedback, is are there any other concerns that you had before you started your individual journey or before you post a video?
Absolutely. One of the so insecurities can come in various forms. So I don't really find myself. I don't think nobody really knows they're insecure until they're put in position to be insecure.
Mm,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it got to a point where I started to be too hard on myself. Even
Mm,
when it came to pictures, it was like, you know, I don't like the way I look in this, or I don't like this, or it was just like nitpicking in very small things. And
yeah.
I think we are guilty of that and nitpicking at the
Hmm.
littlest things that honestly doesn't fucking matter.
At all.
So
Seriously.
that was a fear I had to get over. Like if I'm recording an IG reel and I just see this one part, I'm like,
Ooh,
oh,
that is
like this,
me.
like I do
That is
not like
me.
this. And you know, looking at the whole picture is really not that big of a deal. But to me, it could just be like something out of place, like in the bathroom or
Hmm.
something. And I'm just like,
Yes.
no, I can't put this out there. Like blah blah
Yes.
blah. So I think for me, it was a matter of finding a balance between great content and perfect content,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
kept leaning towards perfect content too much, where I started to
Mm,
realize that shit ain't perfect. There's
at
never gonna
all.
be perfect,
At
right? There's
all.
always gonna be something that I can find that's wrong with it, but it can still
Hmm.
be great. But I was, like I said, I was leaning more towards the perfect, so I just had to find a good middle ground to where it's not perfect, but it's great, and I can
Hmm.
live with that, and I'm happy with that. And it also
Hmm.
get to a point where I won't put out content where if I'm editing it, if I ain't smiling at my own content, I'm not putting it out there. Like I gotta be
Yes.
genuinely happy with what I'm doing right now.
I'm like, oh, this is
For me,
great.
yeah, like shit, I like that. Like, all right, bet. So I have to genuinely be happy with what I'm doing
Mm,
in the moment for me to really be happy to put it out there. And I think that's very important. And so some people can just be doing content just to do it, but you have to really enjoy your own stuff
yeah.
if you hope other people to enjoy it, because that can be another thing where it makes it harder to do, where if you don't even know if you enjoy it but other people aren't enjoying it, it just creates this, it's almost like a toxic workplace.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
you're unhappy with yourself, they're unhappy with their content, and now it's just a shit storm of unhappiness, you know?
I
I
remember.
can be happy with my content. I could care less if people like it or not. I'm happy with my
Yeah.
shit, so I'm good.
I'm good.
You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. As long as I'm good and I'm happy
All
with it, and
right. You
I'm
can do what
fine.
you
Like
want. Like,
yeah, like I ain't tripping. So and I
yeah.
think that's important. People should always enjoy what they're doing, not for
Hmm.
the views, not for anything else, but you have to genuinely be happy in this space in order to
Yes.
succeed.
Yes. I remember I've taken three things from that. I remember my professor, he said, like, if you're bored reading this paper, how do you think I feel? Like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
take that from any, like, when I'm doing my content, I always refer back to that comment. Like, this is boring. This, I will take
Yeah.
a whole clip out. Like, I really wanted to show this, but it's not giving anything. So
Yeah.
off you go. But I think it's very good to be like that. It could, being a perfectionist can be detrimental to your mental, but
Mm.
at the same time, I think it's very good that you're saying, "Oh, I pay attention to something as, something be misplaced on the bathroom counter," because
Mm.
you're very intentional about your craft and putting great material out there. So,
Mm.
I mean, it's about perspective too.
Yep. So how do you kind of balance what you put out there in terms of like your process behind it?
Um, So, specifically about my channel, my reaction channel, I get a lot of recommendations from,
Mm.
my subscribers. Um, it's kind of their show at the moment. However, I will skim through certain material to see, basically what it consists of and if I can relate to it, because largely I think, especially being a reactioner, being a reactor, excuse me.
Mm.
It's actually, no, I'm going to contradict myself. At first I was going to say being a being a good reactor is being able to relate to content,
Mm.
but I'm going to digress and say you don't have to relate to everything. It's nice to have like that first-hand experience or that
Mm.
whoa moment of experiencing something new. So I kind of agree with both sides of the spectrum.
Mm.
However, it's nice when you do relate to a topic or you find something interesting, because you can speak more about it. You can have a more, basically interact further with your community when you
Yeah.
do love it. Whereas there have been times where I'm watching a video and I completely cut it off because it's like, this is freaking boring.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go. I'm sorry, y'all. Bye. And then if you'll go back on previous videos speaking about my support system, specifically my mother, she'll watch a video like, girl, you fake laughing, or girl, like, this is boring. She gets me.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, the balance is maybe making your audience happy, giving
Yeah.
them what they came for initially, good
Yeah.
vibes, good laughs, deep belly laughs, something funny, but at the same time, we won't fake the funk
Yeah.
and just post anything. So just overall happiness between both parties
Yeah.
is the
Yeah. And
balance.
it's actually very funny you said that pertaining to your mom and how she would be honest with you. I'll be honest. If somebody came to me and told me my shit was whack, it would piss me off. Yeah, I would take the criticism and be like, that shit's probably right. Like you're probably right.
Yeah, but
But
damn,
that shit's still
like,
like God, like come on, like you ain't gotta say it like that.
no, not too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a little too much there now.
Like,
That's actually funny. But I kind of want to
no,
dive into if you're comfortable with it. I know you had a personal incident that happened to you, and when we had talked
yeah.
about it, I could relate to it because I tell people when you do have personal things that happen to you, the grass is greener. And in the moment, I know for me, when I was going through my medical issues, when I had to have knee surgery and I was in talks, and I'm still in talks currently to have heart surgery and whatnot, it can be
You're in what? I'm
very,
sorry.
I'm in talks to have heart surgery. So
Oh,
eventually,
okay.
maybe a year, I'm not really sure when, I will eventually have heart surgery.
Mm,
And it's good to have not only a support system, but to be aware of life in a sense. You know what I mean?
yes.
Because when I was going through my situation, it was very, how do I explain it? I went through, I guess you can say, a depressed state where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was confused. One, because it was like, why me? Why is this happening to
Yeah.
me? You know, I'm young.
Mhm.
I've always been, healthy. Always been fit.
Yeah.
So why is this
Yes.
happening to me? So
Mhm.
kind of want your perspective on when people go through personal things in situations. Now, it doesn't even have to be medical, but what advice will you give to someone looking to get on that other side of it?
Well, for one, I'll start off by saying it's a process in itself. It's definitely not something that will happen overnight. And like Ken's talking about specifically, I was shot in my heart. Um, and it's like my life like flipped like that. And as you were speaking, you were young, fit. I won't necessarily say I was healthy because I like to eat and do the most. And I was
Yeah.
drinking at the time, just
Mm,
young. I was 23 when I was shot. And basically, starting off, like I was in denial. However,
mm,
I'll get to that later. But I would just tell people, like, it's okay to pause. And I'm a quote girl. So I'll say another one of my favorite quotes is that nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And I feel like I apply that to all levels of my life because there are times where you just want to get out of the negative situation or the pit that you're in when you're not realizing, this is something I can learn from. This is an experience that God or the universe, whichever you believe in, wanted you to have. And this is your story. So you just have to basically sit in it, accept it, and then move on in the best way that you can from that. Specifically, me, I was in denial. Like
yeah.
when I was shot, I was in the hospital like days later trying to edit videos. I thought I was going to Six Flags the next week.
Mm,
Like it was just the amount of delusion was
oof.
crazy, but
Oof.
I've never been in this situation, so I
And
give myself grace because I
yeah.
don't know how to react to this situation because I've never been in
Oof.
it.
And just let me step in right there a little bit. It's so funny that you say that. I was the same way. So I got
Mhm.
sick in Mexico
Mhm.
for a friend trip or whatnot. And the whole time I'm telling myself, food poisoning, food poisoning. Like I'll
That's
be
right.
okay. You know what I mean? I gave myself a day in Mexico, but I only got sicker. So I was like, you know what? Let me go home. I go to the urgent care.
Mhm.
I wasn't even thinking hospital. I just go to the urgent care. They'll
Yeah.
tell me, give me some medicine. I'm good, right? So I
Yes.
go to the urgent care. He tells me that there could be something serious. So I was like, all right, cool. We go to the hospital.
You
I'm thinking I'll be in there. Give me what I need. I'm out of here, right?
I'm out your
Next,
way.
yeah, like I ain't tripping. I ain't never been in the hospital before, so I don't belong
Right?
here. That's the way I'm thinking about it. I don't belong here.
I'm gone. Like
Yeah, like cool. So, they hook me up and everything. So I'm thinking like, okay, a couple hours, my body be right. I'm good. I'm on my phone. I ain't even tripping. It, I was just like, but it wasn't until they sent an infectious disease doctor into my room, and I'm like,
you like,
this
oh,
this ain't no
slow
regular
down
doc.
now.
Yeah, this ain't no regular doctor, bro. You got a little too much dip on your chip. What's going on
Okay.
here? Like, and then when he
Slow
starts breaking everything, and it's funny. Even when he started breaking everything down, he was like, "Yeah, you got an infection in your bloodstream." So I'm like, "Shit, take those pills. I'm out of here." All right, cool.
Say
Then he
nothing
started talking
still.
about it spreading, and you're gonna have to stay. We're gonna have to commit you, and I'm just like, "Hold the hell up!" Like
This was in one day.
in one day, and I'm just like,
Oh,
wait a minute, like this. So
whoa.
the information was coming so fast, like
I'm like, I
I
need time to process this.
yeah, like in my head, I just want to go home. That's the only thing
Literally.
on my mind. I just want to go home.
Literally.
And there were so many things that prevented me from being able to, like the infection spread to my knee, had to have knee surgery, then it spread to my heart, had to do all kind of things. So I was just in the hospital, just undergoing multiple tests for whatever reason, just because of this infection had spread. So I definitely get the denial part because every day I was in there asking my nurse, like, bro, when am I going home? Like, I'm trying to
Yes.
get up out of here. Like, it would
Like
one doctor be like, yeah,
it's
you'll be out of here in
cold,
2 days.
like
Yeah, it's like I can't
back
sleep.
hurting.
Like it was just rough. And then at the time, they also had me on a liquid diet, so I couldn't eat.
Mhm.
I'm literally
Mhm.
sitting here eating ice cream and slut. I'm like, bro, I need some
Mhm.
chicken or something. Like, I just want to get up out of here. You know?
No,
I'm
for
trying to get up out of here, man. I
They
can't even
got
have
you
my
on this
mom and them bring me no
applesauce,
food.
like,
Yeah. I remember it's
ooh.
funny. I had a Jamaican nurse one time, right? And this was a funny story.
She
Got a
brought you
Jamaican
food.
nurse. It wasn't even food. So
Oh.
I was running. I was I was running a really bad fever when I was in the hospital, like really
Mhm.
really bad. So the Jamaican nurse at the time, it's like the night nurse. She had told me,
Yeah.
don't put this blanket on you, right? Do not, because you're gonna get hot. But when you have that fever, you're like hot and cold.
Yeah.
So this was a period where I was like, shit, I'm kind of cold, bro. Like, I'm cold. And she's coming in the room like every couple of hours to check my temperature to see if it's going down. So she comes in one time and
You
I'm covered.
snuggled.
I'm snuggled in a blanket. I'm snuggled up good. My mom on the couch next to me. I'm snuggled up good. She comes in, she takes my temperature, and I actually went up. When I tell you this lady got so mad, she snatches, she takes the blankets from me and just leaves with them. She's like, "You're not getting these."
Aww. She's sweet though.
No, she was great. She was great. It was just a point where I was just like, bro, I'm just trying to be comfortable. Like
Yeah.
this, yeah. So
I don't even care. Like,
yeah, like, God, come
mm-hmm.
on. But now you can continue with your story in terms of, I know you said you were in denial and you still trying to edit videos while after being shot in the chest, which I think is crazy. I don't
Like,
know how you did
so
that.
I don't know if you've seen the video, but just to like background, we were at a season of graduation. Everyone's getting out of school, everyone's partying, summer's jumping off. So I was at a party with my friend and everything was great. Mind you, the party started earlier, so everything's fine. Long story short, at night things get chaotic quickly. Which I felt in my spirit like I would say a half hour before. Like I just felt like things getting crazy quickly. There were really no signs of terror or signs of I don't know, anything alarming that could come my way, but I just felt very sick. And long story short, the intruder came in, was shooting at everyone there. And I would say that whole time up until I got to the hospital, I was kind of like in an autopilot. I've never been in this state before. However, it just felt like I was not myself. It felt like something was missing. Mind you, I didn't even know I was shot when I was shot until I like basically felt it. Like I said, it felt like something was missing. And then I was like wandering around the property, and then I eventually made it to the bathroom, and there were people hiding in there. And then when I turned on the light in there, they start screaming, and that's what made me snap out of it. Like, oh my god, oh my god! And then I had on like a yellow shirt, and I looked down, and like the bottom half of it was red because initially I was shot in my rib cage and it traveled. And that's, like I said, that's when I started freaking out, and then like started to initially panic. And then I remember like thinking literally, wow, like I'm about to die. It happened so quickly. And then I began to tear up and just like look up. And then something inside of me like was just like, I have to get out of here. Like I'm lollygagging, I'm walking around, I'm like, I have to get out of here. So long story short, I make it out. Very long story short, I make it out of the house, and I'm onto the street now. I have my phone in my back pocket. I'm like calling the police for myself while I'm like holding my side where the entry wound was. And I'm like telling them like, you have to come get me. And mind you, I had just moved to LA 3 days prior. So my directions, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what street I'm on. I was driven here. I don't know where the hell I am. I'm yelling on the phone because I'm frustrated. Like, I just felt like they should have known where I was based on my phone's location. So I'm like having to walk literally blocks up the street trying to figure out where I am. And then I would say I made it to the hospital, from my recollection, maybe I would say 45 an hour. I really don't remember. But it was a while before I got to the hospital. It was a while before I had like pain medication, anesthesia, anything. However, on the way there, like I feel like once I was in the hands of care, once I was like around police in the ambulance, I was relaxed, and that's when the delusion started to kick in, because I was like, everything's fine. I wasn't crying. I was just trying to take in the pain at that point.
Yeah.
So anywho, once I got to the hospital, I was fine. I remember I was like laughing and just one thing about me, in any situation, like my reaction is to laugh. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it's just like a defense mechanism. It could be just because I'm silly. It could be a myriad of different things or different elements of why I choose to react in this way. So I'm like laughing in the hospital. I'm like asking questions. Probably the main question that I asked about 50,000 times that night was I going to pass? Was I going to die?
Mm.
Um, I asked that so many times. I asked that while I was waiting on the ground for the ambulance. I asked that so many times in the ambulance. I asked that to the doctors, the surgeons, the nurses. I asked it all night. Um, but eventually I had the anesthesia and then I woke up the next morning and my mom was there
Mm.
all the way from Indiana. And I'm like, oh God, like who
Yeah.
called her? Who
Right.
called her? Why did y'all
Right.
tell her about this? Because
Yeah.
I was never going to tell my mother
Yeah. Now
ever.
you, because you're going
I
back to
was,
Indiana now.
oh,
Yeah.
no,
Back.
no, 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 it wasn't that. It wasn't, well, yes, it's that. But two, I'm going to Six Flags next weekend. Like,
Oh.
what are you talking about? Like, my
Yeah.
mom does not need to worry about me. I'm grown. I'm 23. I'm good over here in LA.
Mm.
Like, I'm set. Like, I
Mm.
got, they about to stitch me up. I'm on my way. Give me some
Yeah.
Popeyes. We
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah. You get on
give
a
me a little
roller coaster.
chicken
You chilling.
sandwich.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, I woke up the next morning, which it happened pretty late. So for her to be
Mhm.
there, like, I was like, what's going on? And I'm on my back at this point, laying, and I just feel like terrible, like
Mm.
tired, in and out, druggy,
Mhm.
like pain, like all of this. But long story short, heavy on the delusion. And then as days went by, and I'm sitting in the hospital and I'm realizing it took me, the crazy thing, it took me so long to realize my how bad my situation was.
Mm.
And obviously that's delusion, but still to this day I can't believe how I was behaving, like how I reacted to it. But
Yeah.
as I said, I will give myself grace because I've never been in that situation before. I've
Yeah. Of
never
course.
had to endure something so drastic and bizarre and serious. So
Right.
I was just doing the best that I can, and that might be something that I can dive into as well because I've always been, the positive, optimistic girl. So I think the pressure of that had me acting that way in the hospital. Like, I'm
Mm.
fine. Well, my friends and family, my mom and my friends who lived in LA, they'll tell you a totally different story of how I was just angry and mean. But on the outside of what I wanted to aspire to,
Yeah.
I wanted to be positive about the situation. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. Like, God is great. And I'm going to still post these videos, still posting these videos that I had made prior. Excuse me. For example, I made a travel vlog or a vlog of me moving to LA. So that's the video I edited and posted. Excuse me. While I was in the hospital, nobody knows I've been shot. Literally, no one knew I was shot, like outside of my close group, until a year later when I
Mm.
posted like the year anniversary, like thank God, stuff like that. So I think the pressure of being a certain way weighed down on me, especially because in my friend group, I'm the lively person. I'm
Mm.
optimistic, I'm strong, I'm just overall happy and joyous and always laughing. So I think that goes back to your question when you asked me how would one deal with a situation, not specifically because I don't wish this on anyone, but any hardship, like how do you
Mm.
deal with that? Just allow yourself time and space to process it and accept it, like this is your life right now, this is happening.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be anything other than like you getting healthy. Like that's the main focus. Like try not to worry about, especially if you're an influencer, your career or posting or money or what others think, because honestly I don't know, but I was kind of embarrassed about the situation. Like
Mm.
why is this happening to me? Like I never
Right.
thought this would happen. And even further than that, like how do I put this out there, and do I actually have to put this out there? Like, and then you can speak further about your emotions and depression and how this makes you feel. It's just so many things you have to deal with. Your life changes so fast and it's just way too much. And the way I coped was, oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on these YouTube videos
Yeah.
when I actually wasn't healing
Mm.
mentally. So I think honestly, the mental toll was far greater than the physical because honestly, I healed in 2 months and I was back at concerts. But mentally, I struggled terribly.
Mm,
I struggled with my appearance. I struggled with
mhm,
the scar because I have the scar that comes down here. I have
mm,
different hole scars in my stomach. I have the entry wound.
mhm.
So, being a woman and being a woman who puts herself out there on social media, that's huge because every
Yeah.
day you see people showing off their body. And as I said, I've never been like I've never been like super fit. I've never always like had a super flat stomach.
Mm,
And I've never been one to show my stomach like that or show like wear crop tops or anything like that. But just the mental like battle or the thought, the insecurity, like, damn, I can never wear a two-piece anymore. It's just so much that is thrown at me at one time. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
bruh, like this is too much. This is too
Yeah.
much. And there are
Yeah.
times where you just like, I can't fucking take it. Like,
Yeah.
God, why? Like, I am so appreciative. And honestly, like, obviously, there's a purpose in this, there's a
Yeah.
purpose for me. But, like, damn, I ain't strong like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
now. Like,
I ain't that
I know
strong.
I'm strong, but damn, like, God, come on now. Like, hey, hey. Like, I know I'm strong. I've been showing you I've been killing it. I know I've
Yeah.
been acing through life.
Yeah.
Bring me back down a little
Yeah.
bit, all
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
The expectations got a little too high there now. Yeah.
no, for real. I love you guys. You view me that way? Like I'm that hard? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, look.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like.
Yeah, I don't want to be one of the
I
toughest
don't.
soldiers. Like, just let me be a regular soldier.
Let me stand in the middle, not the front line. Let me get a.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, bruh, I still cannot believe that. Like,
No,
I
that is.
still cannot believe that. Shot in your heart
Ooh,
surgery. I
yeah.
didn't know I had this scar until days later, too.
Ooh,
The nurse came in and she's like, all right, we have to change your gauzes or we have to change your dressing. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
girl, what are you talking about? I just know I'm hurting because I'm on my back. Obviously, I know I'm shot. And then I'm so drugged up, I don't know where the pain is coming from.
Yeah,
She must have lifted that and took the dressing off. I literally was, I didn't talk for the rest of the night. Like,
yeah.
I was just like,
Ain't shit to talk about no more.
ain't shit to talk about. Like, I'm blue.
Ooh. Oh yeah,
Blue. Talk about sick. Like, first
yeah,
of all, your plans of Six Flags is already ruined. You've already
yeah,
accepted that.
yeah. That's out the window.
That's important.
Yeah,
That's principle. So I'm blue. Like
yeah,
blue. And then you just moved here. Now you in the hospital. Now your mom's worried. Like it's
yeah.
just too many variables. Now on a very serious note, you have this scar, this permanent damage. No, I was blue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would have been right
Yeah.
there with you, boy. Cause
I was sick. Like I just couldn't believe it. And I think that's when that moment when I saw it, that's when everything set in. Like,
mm-hmm.
wow. Like, wow. This is serious.
Ooh. It's funny. I want to go back to when you had said that your friends and family would have a different perspective on how you acted in the hospital. I know you said you were being positive, but they may have said you were angry and mean. It's very
Yeah.
funny because my family would say the same thing, and I'm gonna tell you the same story. I was mean as hell in the hospital. I was mean for weeks. Literally, I was
Yes.
I was very very mean, and
Mm,
looking back at it, I obviously regret the way I acted, but oh
yeah.
yeah, I remember I had to go and get I think it's called an echocardiogram or something like
Mm,
that. Pretty much where they had to stick a tube down my throat. I go under
mm,
anesthesia and whatnot. And this was like the turning moment of if I was gonna have to have heart surgery or whatnot. So we go, and everybody around me is very optimistic. Like, you're not gonna have it, you're not gonna have to have it, et cetera, right? So, of course, I'm very optimistic too. I'm trying to stay positive.
yeah.
Go under anesthesia. You've been on anesthesia. It feels like night and day. Like you go to
Yeah.
sleep and you wake up. You never
Mm-hmm.
really. It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
you're out for long.
Yeah.
But so I close my eyes, I open them back up, And then I could just hear the doctor trying to explain to me what's going on. But, I'm so out of it that I just tell them to bring my mom into the room and whatnot. My mom comes back. And again, I'm still kind of in and out of it. But when the doctor said that there was damage on my mitral valve and that heart surgery would be the only thing that can correct it, there ain't a drug in the world that probably was going to stop me from waking up.
Yeah,
I woke up and just it was like a switch. I just blew up
instantaneously.
I just started acting crazy. I was like,
really?
hell no. I started to snap. And I knew I was bad and I wasn't controlling my emotions right. When my mom, she was talking a lot. This is actually funny looking back at it.
Speak on that.
My mom was talking a lot, bro. A lot, to the point where it started to make me mad, to the point where I was just like, be quiet. Be quiet. Just stop. I wanted absolute silence in the room. I want to hear nothing. Just be quiet. Because, at that point, you get tired of people saying it's going to be okay. It's going to be this and that. I don't want to hear it no more. Just be quiet. Let me yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. Stop. My mom, she was great because, obviously in that moment she can understand what I was feeling. So, of course she was like, all right, she stopped talking. And then, I just needed time to kind of process what was happening, process everything that was being said.
Yes.
Again, I'm coming out of anesthesia. My mind's kind of all over the place. I'm tired. I feel my body feels fatigued. So I'm just like, God damn, give me a minute, So I definitely understand the mean thing because when you hear certain things,
similar situation. I actually when you hear stuff, it's like you need time. You need please. And that's what happened the night I was shot. Everyone was swarming around me and stuff, but I literally, I was not crying. I just needed to focus. I have to focus, or I'm gonna lose my mind, and y'all don't want to see that. So please. Similarly, I was in the hospital and there was about 4 visitors, including my mother, and they were talking, just living life, And I don't remember. I would have to ask my mom. She can vouch for me. But I literally asked nurse, please get everyone out of here because I just can't take it anymore. It's just too much, and I just need to ground myself, or I'm going to blow up. You really, honestly, in the hospital in 2018 is when I first started having panic attacks. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what to call it. And there will be moments where I felt like I literally cannot breathe. I feel like I'm going to die. I'm just I don't know what's going on, but I need everyone to be quiet. I need everyone to shut up. And then there were times where there was one time I had a nurse who was overbearing. And in times like this, I can't not take you being overbearing because I have to center myself. Honestly, I feel like the only person who can help me with that literally is my mom. But in that moment, she was doing too much too. And I'm just like, you gotta go. You have to go.
Gotta be quiet. Please be quiet. And I'm also the type, I was in the hospital. I didn't want to talk so much that if the doctor came in and tried to explain something to me, I was like, just tell it to her. Because she gonna want to know anyway. Wow. Just tell her. I don't even want to talk about it no more. Just tell her.
You said I'm not even in control. I'm just
because I was at the point where it's whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. So you don't gotta tell me no more. Just tell them. Because they're gonna keep asking me a million questions. And I said, I was at the point where I don't want to talk about it no more. I don't want to think about it. I'm just gonna lay here. And then it was also a period when I had to have knee surgery, so I couldn't even roll around or just get up and walk around if I wanted to. So I was confined to the bed. So I'm just gonna lay here. Just leave me alone. I'm just trying to be right now. So
I can definitely relate. That it's amazing because I'm like, wow, he had this experience and he's smiling and laughing about it. But it's so relatable because I had the same experience and I'm cracking up about it. And that, I feel like that's beautiful.
For sure.
And I don't think anyone who has not had these similar experiences, they're going to be like, oh, it must have not been that bad. But tell me, I would not wish that on anyone on this planet Earth. No. I don't care what you've done in life. I don't wish that on anyone.
Yeah, that
it sucks.
That shit wasn't
fun. Especially being confined to your bed because I had tubes coming out of my side, so I was restricted as well. I had I couldn't even get up to use the
Yeah.
bathroom. Like it was bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but as I said, that's very beautiful that we can sit back. I feel like this is the first moment where I said that because people obviously, I would tell my story. I have no problem telling it because I don't know, it just doesn't trigger me in that way.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not triggered by telling my story. I think it kind of helps me figure out my emotions. I'm a talker, I'm a
Mm,
venter, so that's how I can figure out what's going on, whether that's with others or with myself in the mirror. So I'm not triggered by that. Um, but like I said, in this moment, I feel like this is the first time where I'm like, wow, that's beautiful because I see you smiling and laughing about it and we're relating to it. But now I actually understand why it's beautiful. Like, it's just
yeah.
like a full circle moment of like, yeah, we may have these hard times and hardships where we feel like the world is caving in. Literally, the walls of the universe are caving in right in front of my eyes. But time, like, think about time and progression and doing the work to heal. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's about the journey, and you can
Yeah.
see it right here. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful to me.
No, I definitely agree with that. And like I said, we definitely have some relatable stories. And like, I agree with you. It's good to see someone have relatable stories, and then we could just laugh about it
Hmm.
because in that moment it was real. But now that I look back at it, it
Yeah.
was like that shit was it was tough. But now I can laugh about it
Yes.
because there was some
Yes.
moments in there that I mean you don't really have a choice but to just laugh because we're here now.
Yeah.
You know, we're here,
Yeah.
we're able to
Mhm.
continue doing what we love. So,
Mhm.
you know, you just kind of take those moments as it's like a
Mhm.
lesson. Like we don't know why we were chosen. Have no
Yeah.
clue. I still
Mhm.
don't agree with it, but
Yeah. Don't want it to happen again.
yeah. So, but
Like
you know, I'm glad to be here and I'm glad to be smiling, healthy, and just happy overall. So, and I appreciate you for sharing your story and
that's
whatnot.
a
We are
good
able to
point
laugh
though.
about it. But yeah,
That's a good point for no problem, but that's a good point about not only realizing that you're in a better place, but I think it's a very great lesson that we've learned, especially for the future. Like realizing how fragile life can be and how
yeah,
things can change in a split second. Um, and especially for us, like when we're fearing trying new things, or for anyone like who fears to try something new or just do it. You don't know how quickly
yeah,
your life can change. You don't know if
yeah,
tomorrow you won't even have the resources available. Like you don't know if it'll be there. You don't know if YouTube will be there tomorrow. You don't know if you'll be physically fit enough to set up a camera tomorrow. Just do
yes,
it. So
yeah.
I think that's important as well.
Yeah, that's an excellent lesson because take it from me. One day I'm healthy, 10 days later I got a pick line in my arm on crutches and I'm going to
Like
doctor's appointments every week. So
that
you
is
better take
why.
advantage of everything because
Yes.
life can change dramatically right before your eyes.
Fast.
So
Seriously.
definitely, definitely. But
Seriously.
I appreciate this conversation so much.
Me
It
too.
was
Thank you
fantastic.
so much.
I think we dropped a lot of the gems and I think related to our
Hmm.
stories that you know, people are going to have experiences, both hard and good, but it's important to take the hard and learn from it and also be able to look back on them and see how they shaped who you are now
Hmm.
and just be able to accept the situation for what it is.
Hmm.
Um, I was the type of person where I just was in denial for so long, but now it's like looking back, it's like I can accept what happened. It is what it is, you
Yeah.
know. Life moves on, and I just have to be
Hmm.
able to do the things that I love to do. However life decides to take me. Like I said, you know, maybe a year or two from now, I will have heart surgery eventually, but that's not what I'm looking forward to. I just have to focus
Hmm.
on today and living my
Yes.
life as best I can. So,
Yes.
and I
In the
think that's what,
present.
yeah, exactly. And I think
Hmm.
that's what everybody should do
One
for
hundred
sure.
percent. I agree.
For
One
sure.
hundred percent. Like live for you. Live now. Live freely, and just do
Yeah.
the best that you can with the resources that you have now.
Yeah. Definitely. But again,
Hmm.
I appreciate you. Yeah,
No
I think
problem. Thanks for having me.
absolutely. And yeah, I guess we'll talk more. I feel like there should be a part two to this. I feel like there was just so much more
Yeah,
we didn't cover. But
because I can talk for days. So
oh yeah,
it's
same, same. So yeah, we're gonna have to do this again,
yeah.
definitely. But
Hmm.
again, if you want to drop like your Instagram or whatnot, where people can find you, your reaction channel, your main channel, and things like that.
Yes, so my name is JayShara, and it's
Mhm.
basically the same on every app: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Mhm.
TikTok, and it's my name, JayShara, JayShara.
Mhm.
However, it has a H at the end, and that's all of my handles. My second channel, because I have two, is JayShara with TOO at the end. So every platform is the same. Yay to that. So yeah, travel vlogs, reaction, and then obviously TikTok is a little bit more creative and fun.
Yeah.
And then everyone knows about Instagram. So
Dope. Dope. Well, I definitely appreciate you for jumping on here.
thanks for having me.
Makes a great episode. It's a great
Mhm.
conversation. There's definitely
Mhm.
a lot of things people can learn from in this conversation.
Yes.
A lot of things that
Mhm.
I learned about myself and just in general from this conversation. So
Awesome.
definitely. So
Awesome.
yeah, we're definitely gonna talk soon. And yeah, I appreciate you again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Always.
All right. Have fun. Be safe.
All
Live
right, you
life.
too. All right, guys, man. There was a great conversation. I hope you guys definitely enjoyed this episode of the Unspoken podcast. Shout out to JayShara. Excellent guest, excellent conversation. Dropped a lot of gems. Had a great story, and as you can hear, or if you're watching, you can see the smiles, you can hear the smiles, you can hear the laughter, and you can see the laughter. That is also very important that you always strive to make tomorrow better than today. And I think that's what we both kind of learned going through our medical situations is that it will get better and you have to strive to make it better every single day. But yeah, I love you guys, and shout out to everybody listening on Apple, Spotify. Shout out to the YouTube gang checking in, and also the gang on Anchor. But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next episode of Unspoken, and later.